Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Just Bulldogs podcast. Back for another PPP positions, profiles, and projections. In this one, going over the front row position. A bit of a shake up here, a couple of recruits, but still some faces that we will definitely recognise. Last year, our starting front rowers were Max King and Sam Hughes, and they really locked down that front row pairing for a majority of the year, besides a few injuries. On our most consistent pack coming off the bench, we've seen Josh Curran and Curtis Moran holding on to those spots for majority of the year. Harry Hayes towards the middle of the season got in and done very well to hold on to his spot. And then, sort of a mix of smaller bodies in and around that pack. Liam Knight departing the club. But yeah, a couple of new faces that'll definitely be in the mix this year. So I put the vote out to the Just Bulldogs Instagram page. If you want to have your vote, make sure to jump on there. The fan choice for our starting front row pairing this year came down to Max King and Tom Amone as the fan choice preferred starters. So a bit of a shake-up. Max King obviously locking in his spot. He was a clear favourite for one spot, locking in the starting side. And then Tom Amone and Sam Hughes fairly close in the voting, but Tom Amone scraping ahead. But then plenty of depth behind them as well for a few bench spots. So if Max King and Tom Amone end up being the starters, my choice would be Max King and Sam Hughes continuing to hold on to that starting spot. I think they really start the game off well, solid in defense, very minimal errors, and just set the tone for the game well. And then we can bring some of our other boys on later that bring a bit more impact. So we'll go off the fan choice. If Max King and Tom Amone are starting on the field, then we're looking at a choice of these players. We have Sam Hughes, Josh Curran, Satili Tupanua, Harry Hayes, Curtis Moran, Daniel Saluka Fafita, new recruit Zion Ma'u, and Jack Todd. Still got to figure out the pronunciation of Zion's last name, but I'm sure we'll learn it very soon. So 3 positions to go for there. We'll talk about it in another podcast, but I expect Bailey Hayward to lock in that 14 role once again. So I expect 3 of our big bodies to fill in the rest of the bench with one of those players, at least one or maybe 2 of those players being able to play in the back row as well. So if Max King and Tom Amone take on that starting role, I have Sam Hughes in my starting position, but I think either way, one of those guys will be taking a bench spot. So if Tom Amone's on the starting side, Sam Hughes grabs a bench spot. And I can't really see a world where Josh Curran and Satili Tupanua aren't in the side. Both of them can cover in the middle, in the front row position at lock, and can play very well on the edge. Satili Tupanua's got a bit of center experience as well, so it gives us a bit of flexibility with our bench to cover more positions in case of injuries. A couple of players that played very well for us last year in Harry Hayes and Curtis Moran will have to fight pretty hard in New South Wales Cup to get a call up, but they will also have some pretty strong competition playing alongside him in New South Wales Cup with Daniel Saluka Fafita, who played a handful of games of New South Wales Cup last year after, I believe, torn ACL, as the Dogs signed him while he was recovering from injury. So he's a player that will be trying to fight for a spot to get into this first grade side. Zion, a new recruit coming over from the Warriors, 21-year-old, pretty good looking prospect. He will definitely be fighting to get into the run-on squad for the first grade. And Jack Todd, a player that I believe would have debuted last year, but a very poorly timed injury stopped that from happening. But a lot of players there that'll definitely be fighting for some first grade games. But there'll be plenty of competition in between them, and then some pretty good players that are already locking in those first grade positions so far. We also have Ryan Sutton in the top 30, still dealing with some injuries. It doesn't sound too good for him. He's probably going to miss a majority of this season if he can come back at all, but we wish the best to Ryan Sutton. Hopefully he can come good, potentially play rugby league in the future, but yeah, definitely got to look after his health first. So definitely plenty of competition. We went from last year a very light forward pack, struggling to fill in numbers. A lot of guys that hadn't really played a lot of first grade games to a pretty good looking room, with more to come as well. We have Leo Thompson coming in 2026. But yes, still got to get through this season, but a lot of really good young players trying to lock down these first grade positions. So fan choice, Max King and Tom Amone are the fan choice for the starting front row pairing. I would have Max King and Sam Hughes, but otherwise I believe it'll be either Amone or Hughes on the bench, followed by Josh Curran and Satili Tupanua. Pretty diverse players that can cover multiple positions on the field, so really helps us in case of injuries. But yeah, that'll do for the front row position profiles and projections. Appreciate everyone for listening. Make sure to check out at Just Bulldogs on Instagram if you want to have your vote on who should play where. But yeah, that'll do for this one. Appreciate you for listening. I'll catch you next time. Bye.